Got two on the phone. Who do we have? John, Art, I mean, are you on?
I'm here. Art's here.
Okay, Art.
Roger.
We'll be streaming in about 2 seconds. Give me 1 second here.
Can you let Chris Malenka in, please, too?
Yeah.
Who do we have? John, Art, I mean, are you on?
I'm here.
He should be in. I believe he's in, Andy. We'll be streaming in about 2
He needs to be let in, I think.
He's in.
Can you let Chris Malenka in, please, too?
He is in the meeting. Chris Malenka is in the meeting.
Okay. All right, we're going to move into our work session. We have a few items tonight.
He needs to be let in, I think.
He doesn't. He's in. I've already admitted him.
Okay, and we're going to start out with the Clear Creek Library District and the Rec Center. Once Upon a Trail proposal. All right, you girls got the floor. Talk to us.
Okay, great. Thank you both, or thank you all. Let me share our screen with you. Okay. Hopefully you all can see this all right. So my name is Cameron Marlin, and I'm here tonight with my colleague Holly Grant. We are from the Clear Creek County Library District, and we are here to share with you our Once Upon a Trail outdoor literacy adventure proposal. So this is brought to you in partnership through the Clear Creek County Library District and the Clear Creek Metropolitan Recreation Center.
So I'd like to talk a little bit about the structure and purpose of Once Upon a Trail. If you have ever read about or visited a story walk, that program is very similar. Essentially, I'm sorry, did I hear just a little feedback? Sorry about that. So essentially, Once Upon a Trail is a program that promotes both literacy and a healthy outdoor activity. We disassemble a children's picture book, mount the pages of the book on signs that are then placed at intervals around a circuit or a trail. So that circuit can take the form of a walk in a business district. It could be on a trail, as you see in this slide. It really is just limited by the imaginations of the creators. So really, people read the story by moving from trail to trail and advancing along the path. So they're getting in their steps at the same time that they are reading the story. So why would we want to introduce this to the community? What are the benefits? What are the advantages to our community that this program could offer? So first of all, we think that this would be an incredible opportunity for people to engage in a healthy outdoor activity. It would be very accessible, which has been very important to us as we have crafted the idea of this program from the beginning. In particular, we can imagine that new families, families with young children, and also underserved populations would be able to access this program. Really, it would be accessible to everybody. In addition to encouraging literacy and outdoor recreation, we also believe that it will bring value to spaces within Idaho Springs. It will give great use to the beautiful new improved sidewalks, get access of the greenway, and other outdoor spaces that Idaho Springs has to offer. And Cameron told me a really lovely story about the first story walk that she experienced when she was a little girl. And she has really positive associations of the physical space that housed that story walk. So we just would want to create more opportunities for people to layer positive memories around Idaho Springs. Also, the timing of this is very tied in with COVID. We're aware that people have, in many cases, their opportunities for recreation, for outdoor engagement have really been limited. And so while this has been a program that we've entertained for some time, this timing seems particularly appropriate and in fact crucial to offer the opportunities to the people in our community to have access to this free, again, accessible to everybody, healthy activity that by its very structure encourages social distancing. So they can get out and enjoy it while being mindful of social distancing protocols. And on that note, we believe that this would provide our community members with a much needed respite and relief from digital devices. While we've been really enjoying connecting with our patrons virtually, we also are aware that people are spending an increased amount of time on digital devices, which just isn't healthy. And it also exposes people to a sort of relentless news cycle. So we think this could be a great opportunity for people in our community to go out, experience nature, reconnect in the community in a safe way, and just explore a really lighthearted story.
All right, thank you, Holly. So to share with you guys what we thought would be a conducive route for the Once Upon a Trail installation, I'm hoping you all don't mind following along my little cursor here. So we are envisioning that the first page of the story would be located outside of the Idaho Springs Public Library branch. And from there, we would direct participants to walk along 14th Avenue and then hang a right to head east on Colorado Boulevard. One of the reasons why we like this stretch of Colorado Boulevard is so that participants can enjoy those new beautiful sidewalks. And then here where Colorado Boulevard and Riverside Drive intersect, at that point participants would be able to walk along the greenway, which is super conducive to those accessibility points that Holly mentioned, whether it be the wheelchair bound community member or the mother or father pushing a stroller, they would be happy to be along the greenway right here. And then to follow that down to Courtney Riley Cooper Park, at which point the trail could either go through the community garden, that is yet to be confirmed by the Scraps of Soil folks if they would like to integrate the walk through the community garden. Otherwise, we would direct participants along Minor Street heading back to the historic district. And at that point, we were hoping to kind of get some feedback from you all council members, because we can see pros and cons between directing participants to walk on that brick portion of Idaho Street to then ultimately get them to end at the rec center, or if it would be more enjoyable to the end user to walk, behind City Hall and under the highway along the water wheel trail, and then also, ending at the rec center. So we are more than open to hearing your suggestions on that route. This proposal is approximately 1.25 miles long, and would address the previous concerns that we had stated in terms of accessibility, etc. So then for some nuts and bolts logistics, as Holly mentioned, the pages of the books would be dispersed, and we had hoped that we could integrate in some educational information around social distancing, cough etiquette, and public health orders as a way to kind of help teach and help inform the public while also allowing them to be outside enjoying this story. We do invite the city of Idaho Springs, if you guys have infographics or materials that you would prefer to utilize just to kind of keep your cohesive marketing in line, we're more than happy to integrate whatever you have. However, our team, we are more than capable of producing those materials if that is the preference. And then to the right side of the screen is regarding the distancing between the signs. Again, social distancing is a priority. And so if we did go with the route that is 1.25 miles long with 30 pages of the storybook and approximately 5 for educational purposes, we would be able to space the pages or the signs 100 feet apart, if not more, and give and take. And I want to speak to that give and take aspect and as it relates to the organic nature that we anticipate the screen the sign locating to follow, as we do want to honor and celebrate the nuances along the trail. So there might be some that are closer and there might be some that are more spaced, but again, really working on preventing social congregation. So Holly, back to you.
Thank you so much, Cameron. So I'm aware that we are running short on time. I did just want to bring up that we do have promotions planned in conjunction with this program and a broader marketing scheme. If you would like to address that in greater detail, please feel welcome to raise those questions during the Q&A portion.
Thanks, Holly. So then just kind of some last housekeeping details that are important to address. For maintenance and upkeep, what we would propose for that is to have a team member from the library or the rec center walk the route at least once a week to take note of any maintenance needs that might need repair, if we need to replace any signs, etc., and that we would take on the responsibility of taking care of whatever maintenance projects are identified. And then for timeline, we would hope that this Once Upon a Trail installation would last for approximately a month, but we would remiss to not state the fact that we see this as a larger project that we do hope will evolve over time. So on this slide on the left side, you can see just like a blank campaign yard sign. That is what we are envisioning for this pilot project Story Walk or Once Upon a Trail installation, where the laminated pages of the book would be attached to that yard sign. Now on the other side of the screen, on the right side, that's an example of how this could be undertaken in a more permanent way. So with the plexiglass that covers it, that would allow the pages to be more effectively protected from the elements, as we see this Once Upon a Trail installation as an asset for the community that could be enjoyed for years to come. And I think that covers the bases. We apologize for going over our time, but we do welcome any questions you may have.
What age group is this geared towards?
That's a great question. Holly, would you prefer that I answer that, or do you want to go ahead?
I can speak to that. So the story itself would be a picture book. So really it could be enjoyed by very young children. I'm thinking of the families that come and utilize story time at the library, and that's a really important resource to them. But honestly, this could be enjoyed by any age group. I'm imagining families would like it. Certainly people who would be interested in just a nice whimsical story about fairies and unicorns. That's the book we're planning on using as they go along on a trail. I could imagine teenagers enjoying it, really appealing to all ages.
And to add to Holly's response, as we have brainstormed around the possibility of expanding this into a more permanent installation, we've talked about ways that maybe we could rotate out the story to highlight our mining history or the big fire in downtown Idaho Springs, or, so appealing to different types of people, different target markets. But this pilot project would, as Holly said, be more focused and more geared towards those younger readers.
You're gonna have to get easements to put these signs up?
I didn't quite hear that.
You're gonna have to get easements to put up these signs from either private or a city?
Certainly would need to have permission before we would place any sign. But we would hope that the placement would be on city property, and that part of the approval from the city council would include permission to place those signs.
I thought you guys had a wonderful presentation, and I love the idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for hearing us out tonight.
Jimmy, I thought the same thing. It was a great presentation.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it.
Very creative idea.
I love that.
Creative, outside the box.
Yeah.
You're right. The timing where kids right now are getting really restless at home gives them something to do to highlight our Greenway Trail and our sidewalks. I think it's a great idea. When are you looking for a decision tonight so you can start planning and ordering signs and things like that?
That would be wonderful. The sooner we can get the ball rolling definitely would be our preference. However, if you are not prepared to make a decision tonight, we would ask that you could give us an idea of when you would make that decision so that we could be prepared to be present for that.
No, I would like to, y'all
I assume you're thinking that we could review the content. I'm not really worried about the content, but it would be, maybe we'd have some ideas about it.
Oh, of course. We will share the story with you in advance. The book that we're considering using is called How to Find a Unicorn. And it really is about collecting materials that you would be using when you have your unicorn. So you get some different supplies for when the unicorn needs a harness and a saddle. So very interactive, but it's not necessarily the story that we have to use. Like, more important is just the salient, sharing a story with the community and getting them out and engaged. So, you know, we're flexible with that.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, well, I wasn't sure if it was, you know, more oriented toward the community itself or whatever, but it really is an independent book or story. Okay, all right, no problem. Thank you.
Any other questions, council?
I think there's a lot of different ways you can go with this. Like you said, different age groups. You could gear books towards different age groups too. And maybe, you know, give incentives for younger kids to, once if they complete the path, do some kind of incentive at the library for it.
That would be awesome.
That's
Yeah,
a really
or-
good point, and I'm glad you brought that up. That was one of the slides we ended up condensing for the sake of time, but with the partnership with the rec center, they have agreed to donate a free daily pass to any child, or I guess any person who completes the whole path. And then any person that completes it is then entered into a bigger prize drawing that the prizes provided by the library. And we are also going to include in that a gift card to a local establishment, just because we do want to do whatever we can to try to help support our local businesses. So I'm glad you brought up the incentive piece, because that is a really big part of this puzzle.
And you said that somebody from the rec center will maintain these signs and replace them if they get removed, because with the yard signs, like a political sign or something like that, we can see that other types of kids will be going down the greenway, pulling them up and things like that.
Your big enemy on those signs is wind.
Do what?
Right. We are in that wind tunnel.
Yeah.
That's what we
Right.
got Chief for, to guard the signs.
I'm wondering about,
this, or do you want to go ahead and say thumbs up and allow them to move forward with their project?
Yeah, for the timing on this, I think it's favorable. I'm favorable for it.
I am too. And are you prepared to extend this through the summer with other
Councilman?
stories if it's as successful as I think it'll be?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
I said if this, I believe this is going to be extremely successful. Are you prepared to maybe continue it throughout the summer with different book stories and what have you? Just, you know, maybe June, July, something like that?
Yeah, we would love to.
Yeah, I think it's a great
I
idea.
love it. Yes. Something awesome for the community. I love it.
Yeah.
One thing
Thank
that,
you.
Thank
Cameron,
you so
one thing,
much.
Holly, one thing that I would ask is if you would get with John Bordoni, because especially through the park area, there's irrigation system in there. And we want to, another thing, make sure that we have what we call it on a trail as a fall zone. So they're set back just a little bit. So if somebody doesn't catch their pedal on one of the signs, and there's a liability. So if you get with John Bordoni on some of this stuff, that'd be great.
Okay.
I'm wondering if
Absolutely.
any thought has been given to, you know, possibly some businesses might be interested in sponsoring a sign or two or three.
Oh.
Yeah, I think you're right, Bob. In fact, I'd like odds on that.
Okay.
I missed that. What was that?
About maybe some businesses sponsoring some of the signs, be pretty low.
Bob, you took, yeah,
great
you
idea.
took the words out of my mouth on that, Bob. Yes.
That's a great idea.
So yeah, that's wonderful.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you all very much. Move forward. We're glad to work with you. And I think it'll be a successful endeavor.
Thanks a bunch, you all. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Thanks.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Right.
Council, what I would like to do, if Carmen, can we move these two items to into the regular meeting and talk about them, Carmen?
Yes, you can. I have to take my leave, which is fine.
We can do the virtual quasi judicial public meeting. We can do that pretty quick with you.
Okay. Or you know what? It's 7:04. You could probably do that
You want to do it
right now, Mayor.
Okay, let's go ahead and finish them up real quick. We can move the engagement grant. John, when do we need to talk about that tonight, or can we wait until our next work session next week? Unmute yourself.
I'm batting 1,000 tonight. I really just need direction that I can use that, or that I can pursue doing that with that grant money, just to change the use.
Okay, let's talk about it real quick. Okay, Carmen, let's talk about our virtual meetings, please.
Well, you have a memo in your packet from John. I'll throw it to John here. He put this together for you, Mayor and Council.
Just based on the conversation that we had at the last council meeting, Andy and I were talking through some ways that we could increase public engagement at the meeting without spending a lot of money. One opportunity that we came up with was creating a queue for people to come in and actually do their comments at City Hall if they want to. And we can set City Hall up in such a way that we can maintain social distancing, and we can queue people outside of City Hall, or they could potentially even sit in their cars and we could text them when it's time to come, depending on the weather. And so that was kind of the structure change that we came up with. I did get a grant to pay for this digital platform that was built to handle quasi-judicial hearings in Colorado by law. And we could do that as well, but my only concern is that it may take a little while to set up, and then learning curve and all that kind of stuff. So that is another option.
Any questions, council?
No.
All right, and as we said, for us we're without knowing a timeline on when the social distancing and the small group gathering is gonna be lifted and expanded. Oh, excuse me. We need to keep things moving. There was some comments last week about the cons about not being able to do it in person, but I think the liability to the city outweighs that, and we have to do the best we can moving forward.
Hey, well, I got a question on that, Carmen. Are you still with us?
Yep.
If someone was to decide to take the legal action based on this, what's the timeline of notifying us that in fact they're going to take legal action, doing whatever paperwork is necessary? I apologize, I don't know your line of work, and getting it to a court on the docket and getting a date in front of a judge. Is there I know you can't be specific, but a general timeline from the point of someone wanting to start a lawsuit to the point where they can actually get it in front of a judge?
Sure. Actually, a good question, and I will address that, Councilor Cacavelli, as quickly as I can, but as thoroughly as I can as well.
If you want to write me an email and save time here, that'd be fine too.
What's that, sir?
I said, if you want to write me an email instead and save time now, it's up to you.
Oh, no. Well, I want all of council, and certainly the public to hear it as well. But in a nutshell, Mayor and council, good question. For anyone to have the ability to challenge the city's quasi-judicial hearing, that process, Councilor and the rest of council, would actually come after the city conducts one of these hearings, and then someone with what is called legal standing. I think you probably have all heard of that. That
Right.
basically means you've got some skin in the game, right? And the law recognizes you as someone who has a legal right to sue, right? To initiate a lawsuit about what just occurred. And for someone to have legal standing in the context of one of these quasi-judicial hearings, he or she would be the applicant, or honestly, one of the members of the public who was entitled to individualized notice of the hearing, a neighboring property. I want to say in our code, it's typically folks within 300, maybe 500 feet of a subject property get mailed notice. Those people who are entitled to individualized notice have legal standing to appeal the result of a quasi-judicial hearing. Members of the general public, Councilor Cacavelli, do not have, generally speaking, that legal standing to challenge a hearing. But to your question, if a neighboring property or if the applicant, him or herself, wanted to challenge the outcome of one of these quasi-judicial hearings because of the way it was conducted, because of our process, they generally have 30 days after the decision is complete to file in district court. So it would be pretty quickly after a hearing were conducted, but it would be after a hearing were conducted that someone with legal standing would be recognized by a court to challenge the hearing process. Does that answer your question, Councilor Cacavelli?
Well, it does, but once they go to, they've got 30 days to do it. From that point to get it on the docket with a judge, how long time is that?
Oh, mercy. If
Yeah.
I could predict that, that depends on the busyness of the docket. Gosh, in my experience, these are appealed under what is these are Rule 106 appeals under Rule 106 of the Civil Rules of Procedure, and a 106 appeal from maybe beginning to end, they're actually pretty quick in terms of litigation, less than a year, I would say. Several months, probably, Councilor Cacavelli.
Okay. All right. Thanks for the answer. I appreciate it.
Does that suffice?
Oh, yeah, it really does. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Okay.
It's just when you said the legal terms, several months to a year. I guess that's quick in the courts.
It is. Ironically, it is. It is.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Anybody else have any questions about this topic that we want to ask Carmen or John about?
No, just, last meeting I had suggested that, in order to give the people a voice, perhaps we use a two-door system and not have to rely on technology. It's obvious that that is exactly what's been proposed. In fact, you even went further as to have an ADA compliant way for people to, address their concerns. I think, in the state of pandemic that the nation is in, I just don't know what more could realistically have been done.
We can also take email comment and phone comment using the system. So that would give us an ability to kind of hit all three of those venues for comment.
I did see that. No, thank you.
Jonathan, do we have, I thought somewhere I thought you used the word a blast email to the public. Do we have the mechanism to do that? And
that was
do we
in
have
my other staff report. But we currently have some challenges, but we would, in my other staff report, if we can use that money the way that I'm proposing, we would have that ability.
And do we have a way of gathering enough emails to put together lists that would fall under blast? I mean, is there a way of collecting all of that? I know we have some, but is there any way of acquiring more, like maybe public notice in the paper that if people put their, send you the email somehow, that they would be put on this list, so when things came up of importance, not only this, but anything, that we could blast it out through them so they can't say that they didn't get proper notice? I know we, legally, if we put something in the paper inch by inch, whatever it is, it's fine, but I'm concerned about going a little beyond what we normally do, and so we don't have any repercussions.
My concern is right now that we do have some email addresses, but we don't have enough. I'm concerned people will say, well, you emailed him, but not me. And I think that's an issue. With our new system, though, we would be able to do exactly what you proposed. We'd also be able to allow people to opt into other communication, such as we could text message them, or if they want other kinds of contact across other media channels, we could do that as well. So it really lets the user control how they're contacted and what about. So we will have that ability if we can get this new software very soon.
Okay, thanks, Jonathan.
All right. Anything else? I believe that our first run at this is going to be the 20th of March. 20th is, I'm 2 months behind. 20th of May. Is that correct, Andy? That will be a planning commission meeting. So we'll work on that. John, I think, has a good plan, and we'll get that implemented.
Mayor, we actually have an HBRC meeting the day before, I believe it is. And that's going to be a certificate of appropriateness. So that will actually be the first test, if you will. And then we have a variance at the end of the month. So we have 3.
Okay. All right, John, real fast. I think you can go through this pretty quick.
Pretty simple. We got a grant to do the train deck, and I want to use it to do an engagement platform for the reasons we just discussed. We have $15,000. The kind of prominent software in this place that would get us 2 years of service plus implementation and training, which would be great. Katie Daly and I have been working on a grant from a place called US Digital Response. We received it, and basically what it is free expert help with somebody who's an expert in government technology budgeting, which is kind of a weird thing. But basically what it does is this person can look at our situation and make sure this is the right software choice for us, so that $15,000 gets spent the best possible way in the most economical way. And so we have a meeting with them tomorrow just to make sure that this is the right choice, the software we've looked at. My plan would be to come back with you with a couple alternatives once we've kind of determined what that looks like. But the first step is just using this $15,000 differently than was awarded. Freeport has already said it's okay. They like this idea. So we have the green light from them.
Jonathan, to move forward with that 15,000?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
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 Yep.
I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. We'll get that moving. All right. Thanks, John. Get that going for us, and we'll get this thing figured out. All right. We are going to go into our regular meeting. It is 7:15. This is our regular meeting for City Council of Idaho Springs, May 11th. Can I have roll call, Diane?
Michael Hillman.
Here.
Scott Pennell.
Here.
Chuck Harmon.
Here.
Bob Boland.
Here.
John Curtis.
Here.
Art Cacavelli.
Here.
Jim Clark.
Here.
All right. Please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the
United States of America. And to
republic for which it stands,
Which it ends.
one nation,
under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Okay. We have an agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion?
I would move that we approve the agenda for May 11th, 2020 meeting.
Second.
In a second.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Does anybody at the meeting tonight, any council, feel that they have a conflict of interest tonight?
I do, sir, on Allied bills for the evening.
Okay. All right. With that, the only conflict that we have tonight, and we need to move down to the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I would move that we approve the minutes from the April 27th, 2020 and May 4, 2020 minutes.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. We got Chuck and Bob, and discussion. Anything in the minutes that we may have made a mistake on? You didn't find any typos, Bob?
No, I didn't.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll move down. John, did we get any emails for unscheduled public comment?
No.
Nothing? Oh, I'm sorry, Diane. Planning, city attorney. All right. I missed something here. We need to approve the bills. Do I have a motion?
I would move that we approve the bills to May 11th, 2020, except for Allied.
Okay, good job, Chuck. Do I have a second?
I second.
Okay, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Jim, say you repeat yourself. Oh, did you say except for Allied Towing?
I did.
Yes, you said except for Allied.
All right, do I have a motion for the Allied Towing bill?
I move to approve the bills, May 11th, 2020 for the Allied towing bills.
Do I have a second?
I second.
All right, motion is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Jim, say recuse.
I recuse.
Thank you. Very good. Okay, motion passes. We can pay the bills. Now we'll move down to the resolutions. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve Resolution 11, Series 2020, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Colorado Department of Transportation, CDOT, and the Colorado Creek and the Chicago Creek Sanitation District, CCSD, concerning water and sewer construction improvements, relocation, maintenance, and operation in the I-70 westbound Peak Period Shoulder Lane area.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. For the discussion, I need to inform council that there may be a couple of mild modifications to this. Since it's with CDOT, Carmen said to go ahead and approve it with the amendments to come in the future. And she said that was okay to do. So I'm sorry, I should have stated that before. I didn't write it down. So we probably need to redo the motion, Chuck, with future amendments. Go ahead and approve it with Carmen with city legal future amendments.
Of course. I move that we approve resolution number 11 to 2020, a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Colorado Department of Transportation, CDOT, and the Chicago Creek Sanitation District, CCSD, concerning water and sewer system construction, improvement, relocation, maintenance, and operation in the I-70 westbound Peak Lane area, subject to legal amendments in the future,
Good.
or
Second.
changes in the future.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes. And we'll move to ordinance first reading. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to ordinance.
Please go ahead.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 6, series 2020, an ordinance adopted by reference to 2018 editions of the following codes: the International Building Code, the International Residential Code, the International Mechanical Code, the International Fuel Gas Code, the International Plumbing Code, 2017 National Electrical Code, International Energy Conservation Code, International Existing Building Code, International Property Maintenance Code, and International Swimming Pool and Spa Code, adopting amendments thereto, repealing all ordinances in conflict therewith, providing penalties for violation of same, and making confirming amendments to chapters 18 and 19 of the Idaho Springs Municipal Code.
Do I have a second?
Second.
That was a mouthful. Does anybody have any questions or discussion? All right, let's do this roll call, Diane.
Michael Hellman,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
Chuck Harmon,
Yes.
Bob Boland,
Yes.
John Curtis,
Yes.
Art Cacavelli,
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
All right, thanks, council. We will move down to our department heads reports. Andy?
Mayor and council, you have my report with no request for action.
All right. Lot going on with not being able to get out of the office, isn't there, Andy?
Yes.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Andy? Hearing none, okay. Diane?
Mayor and Council, you have my staff report for your review with no request for action.
All right. And office staff is staying busy as much as they can, and it's been working out pretty well.
It is.
All right, thank you, Diane. PD, Chief?
Mayor and Council, you have my staff report. I have 4 requests for action. The first is I request council to approve payment to the Clear Creek County Sheriff's Department in the amount of $36,514.33. This is our first quarter payment for dispatching services. And this was funded in the 2020 fiscal year budget.
Okay, and let's go ahead and make a motion on that. Do I have a motion?
I move to approve $36,514.33 to CCC, Clark Creek County Sheriff's Department, for contracted dispatch services.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Motion and a second. Discussion.
Do we need line item on each of these? Or not?
We have that to provide right now, Chief.
I'm sorry?
Line item?
I mean, I can provide a line item, but the way they bill us is they bill us per essentially by our amount of use. And then we pay portions of a percentage of the infrastructure.
Are you satisfied with that, Bob?
Chief, I've got a question.
Yeah, I can provide that. Please keep in mind that, their biggest expense is having dispatchers and 911 call takers at the console. So that's where most of the cost, is incurred.
Okay. Yeah, I would just wonder if it was, required because it's on some motions, not others. That was
most of them are.
not a burning issue.
Yep. I mean, if you want to table this, I'd be happy to provide that.
I don't see any need to do that.
Okay. Then, just so everybody's in the know, what I will do is I will go ahead and email each of you the bill and the line items as we receive them from the county. Will that suffice?
No, he's talking about the budget line items for our city budget, for your budget.
Oh, that came out of, I'm sorry, that is on the, I'm sorry I didn't include that. That is on our contracted services. I don't remember the exact number, but that is in our budget under, I want to say it's 5016, but I could be mistaken.
Okay.
Chief, I hate to tell you, but you're off by 1 digit. It's 5105. Other contract services.
5105. Okay.
There goes your perfect record.
All right.
Chief, real quick.
Oh, there it is.
Well, and I'm sure we've talked about this before, sir. Is that a flat fee or a projected quarterly amount?
We actually, yeah, actually it was projected on an increasing tier year per year. Last year we actually came in under budget because they calculated our total cost based upon our usage. So we actually came in under budget last year.
Gotcha. Yeah, I thought we had gone over that, but I apologize. I couldn't remember.
No, I apologize. I could have prepared you better by including the entire bill.
Right.
Well, overall, it is what it is. We need the service, so that's.
Did you see that?
Yeah, that's what the county says. We got to pay them, I guess. So.
Okay. Any other questions on this motion? Bob, did you see on the invoice down at the bottom where it does have a line item on there for us?
I did not. Let's see.
You have an invoice from E4?
Oh, wait a minute.
And on the back side of that.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I need roll call, please.
Michael Hillman,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
Joe Carmen,
Yes.
Bob Boland,
Yes.
John Curtis,
Yes.
Art Cacavelli,
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
All right. We have the next motion. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve $3,259.45 to eForce for annual license support and hosting.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second, discussion. No questions on E4s? All right, roll call, please.
Michael Hillman,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
Chuck Harmon,
Yes.
Bob Boland,
Yes.
John Curtis,
Yes.
Art Cacavelli,
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. All right, and the last item, do I have a motion?
Move to approve annual payment of $6,732 to Axon Enterprises.
Second.
Motion and second, discussion. Hearing none, roll call.
Michael Hillman,
Yes.
Scott Pennell,
Yes.
Chuck Harmon,
Yes.
Bob Boland,
Yes.
John Curtis,
Yes.
Art Cacavelli,
Yes.
Jim Clark.
Yes.
Okay, we do have one other action item on here. It is not a funded action item, but we need to make a motion. I have a motion.
Move to approve MOU with Clear Creek County and Environmental Health for the use of the parking lot in the 1100 through 1300 block of Idaho Street.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. Does everybody understand what this is going to be for? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Yeah, I think we do.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We will move down to John. You got Public Works, Streets, and Water and Wastewater.
Mayor and Council, you have my staff report before you. There's no request for action.
All right, thanks, John. Do we have any questions for John tonight?
Just hope our infrastructure holds together for that fresh water supply.
Let's certainly hope so.
Yeah, you've had 3 potential leaks, or a couple leaks for sure, and then maybe another one?
We've repaired 2 of them. We have potentially one more on Riverside, just east of Gilson.
In the new paving.
Yeah, that's what John said.
Well, John, as if you haven't been busy enough, I'm just inquiring because I know that we've had a request about the parking restriping there in downtown. And I'm just wondering like how often we do that. I know it's kind of budget friendly, but it's not so much material as it is time. And I'm just wondering how often do we do that?
We typically do it once a year, later in the summer.
All righty.
And to tag on to that, Chuck, some of the ideas and the concepts that we're coming up with of putting and closing Minor Street down through the summertime, we may just want to wait to do that over with. So
Gotcha. Now makes perfect sense.
Okay. John, can you give us an update on how the wastewater plant's coming along?
Wastewater treatment plant is coming along tomorrow. They should test the aeration system in one of the new tanks, and they have training for the guys on that also tomorrow during the day. It's moving along well. It should be slightly ahead of schedule so far, as long as we can continue to get parts. And if they're American-made parts that they require, sometimes it does take longer to get those now.
Okay. One thing I'm going to throw out to all the council, everybody's going to have to remember this. This is now called, ready for this, a wastewater reclamation facility. That's what they call them now. They're not called wastewater treatment plants anymore. And this is actually going to be the sign on the building once it's finished. Isn't that correct, John?
That's correct.
So we'll start referring it to the reclamation facility. Go figure. Okay, paving, John?
It is still on schedule for tomorrow and Wednesday. I haven't heard anything different so far. So hopefully the weather holds out and we can get it Minor Street and Riverside paved tomorrow.
It's still on target for all the paving to be done by Memorial Day, right?
All of it should be done this week.
Oh, both ends?
Yes.
Oh,
Beautiful.
even better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions for John?
Yeah, I have one. Yeah, back to the painting for a moment, and just my own observation. It looked like some parts of Colorado Boulevard have been worn off pretty badly, and I didn't know what we were looking at. Considering a budget restraints and everything, I was just wondering if we were looking at any painting on Colorado Boulevard.
Which parts of Colorado Boulevard are you referring to?
Most of it, I think, are the parking. Parking.
No, well, some of the park, I'm in some of the West End that's, I think, older paint. I'm not sure, but some of it seems to have been worn off. It's not whole general areas, but I think we had so much dirt on parts of the street that has been scrubbed off. And it's some of the parking striping here and there is probably a big part of it. I haven't done a survey. I've just noticed some of it looked pretty worn.
Yeah, that paint will not last long.
Yeah, so I didn't know what we might be looking at, or maybe we need to see how it goes with a budget before we have a serious discussion about it.
So Andy and I had this conversation a week ago, and we, if you remember, out of the ramp money, we put money or still had money left over for future maintenance on the road.
Right.
So we do have some outside of our budget that we saved specifically for that type of taking care of Colorado Boulevard. So that's something that we should look at and see about getting done. I agree.
Yeah, I mean, everything is so beautiful right now in terms of the infrastructure and the streetscape and so on. It just seems to me that keeping that fresh would be, probably worthwhile for our image, etc.
All right. Any other comments, council? Hearing none. All right. It is 7:40. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good night.
Everybody.
Good night, everyone.